Start with pledge.
This is Lorain County Board of Commissioners' regular meeting, Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. Let us start with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Riddell.
Here.
Commissioner Moore.
Here.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Here.
We have a quorum. At 3:45, there will be a presentation and LC 2026 forecast. So resolutions number 1, investments.
Move to approve. Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Number 2, appropriations.
Motion to approve. I'll second.
Discussion.
Yes, in regards to item number 2, I just want to make a point that we're appropriating some money that was donated to the sheriff's office. And that's going to be coming up here in another screen, so.
Okay. Commissioner Gallagher.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Number 3, transfers.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Number 4, advances, repayments.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Gallagher.
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Number 5, requisitions.
Okay. Can we have page 2, Victor? And page 3.
Move to approve pages 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, in regards to what I mentioned earlier, item number 1648, we'd like to publicly thank the Columbia Eagles. They donated the cost, or $18,700 for our sheriff's office to acquire a UTV. So we're just, I want to publicly thank them. And the sheriff's office is excited about the new equipment that they'll be able to use at other events and off-road if they need it. So I know you looked at it. And
Yep, looked at it. 6 passengers, got towing package on it, all the lights, all the gear. Sheriff will be happy.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you to
Yes, thank you.
Columbia Eagles.
Is there anything further? Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Number 6, travel.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Gallagher.
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Number 7, bills.
Move to approve. Oh, wait a second.
You
I pulled a Marty.
You pulled a Marty. You got 3 pages. I've been good today about that.
That's funny.
Page 1 is the general fund. Well, it was less than a full page. I was surprised. It doesn't happen very often. Page 2. These are the expenses, miscellaneous expenses for the various special revenue departments. And page 3.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Gallagher.
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Number 8, do we have any? No?
No, not tonight.
Okay. Is there any public comment on agenda items? I think it was just
No.
a public comment, correct? Is there any old business? No. Board business, 9, approve and waive the reading in the County Commissioners meeting minutes of September 12th and 15th of 2025.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Dell.
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Aye.
Number 10, approve issuance of tax-exempt revenue bonds by the Lorain County Metropolitan Housing Authority in the maximum aggregate principal amount of $37 million. This is to pay costs to acquire, renovate, and equip Wilkes Villa, approximately 174-unit housing facility for low and moderate income seniors at 104 Loudon Court, Elyria. And the attorneys here, as well as Colleen from LMHA.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion.
Now it's time for discussion. Can we ask the folks that are here from LMHA?
Please come up to the mic up here.
Yeah,
Oh.
for those that wish to speak on, you can come on up. State your name and address, or address of your company. You don't have to put your personal.
My name is Colleen DiTilio. I'm the Chief Financial and Development Officer for Lorain Metropolitan Housing Authority, doing business as Raise Up. The address there is 1600 Kansas Avenue, Lorain, Ohio. We are here today to ask for the Commissioner's approval of a $37 million bond issuance for the acquisition development of the Wilkes Villa 174-unit family development on Loudon Court. We are very excited that it is a public housing site that we are converting to multifamily. I didn't even need the mic.
Thank you, Victor.
Guess
Say
what
it
my
all
husband
again.
says all the
No,
time.
you're fine.
Just kidding.
Okay, I thought you were.
So the financing on this project involves not only 4% low-income housing tax credits through the federal government, that as a requirement of that program, we have to have tax-exempt bonds securing 50% of the total development costs. The total development costs are close to $70 million. The hard costs are estimated at about $25 million. And we're expecting a nice economic boost. Our contractor is committed to using, to the extent that they can, local labor and materials. So we're excited about that as well, and our commitment to being a good community partner. As I mentioned before, this project is converting it from a public housing platform funded by HUD to a multifamily platform, which HUD has for the last about 15 years been pushing public-private partnerships so that we can bring private equity into our projects for needed improvements, because federal funding has just not been there in the past. So these have been successful conversions throughout the nation, and we're excited here in Lorain County that this is one of two that we're doing that's in the pipeline. The other one is in the city of Lorain, and it involves 3 of our projects that we're combining together: Levitt Homes, Westview Terrace, and Westgate. And that amounts to 350 units. The funding on this not only is low-income housing tax credits backed by these tax-exempt bonds, but we are getting financing through a Federal Home Loan Bank, federal FHA, it's a HUD loan, and then the developer's putting money back into the deal as well. So that's kind of a synopsis on the project. We have had multiple meetings with our clients, our tenants. They have actually received notices for temporary relocation, and they're very, very excited, as are we. The one thing that seems to be of most excitement to them is everyone will be, air conditioning is going to be installed in every unit. So at the resident meetings, that's the one thing that the residents have really been doing happy dance for. And we're excited to be able to do that as part of this large project.
So how many units do you have, or in total?
Throughout the county,
No, how many units on this project?
this project's 174.
174. And what's the timeline to getting it completed?
Yeah, so we are, we keep our fingers crossed. We are rolling right along in our projected timeline. So we are expecting to close on all of the financing simultaneously in November of this year, with construction to start as soon after as feasibly possible, with approximately 18-month construction period. We're hoping to have it completed by August of 2027. We have a really good development team involved, so I'm confident that we're going to get close to that.
Now, will LMHA continue to be the operator and owner, or does this ownership transfer to the new partnership?
So with federal low-income housing tax credits, the equity provider comes in as the limited partner. The Housing Authority, we've created a nonprofit development arm. They will come in as a co-general partner. We also have a developer that's coming in as the other half of the general partner. So it will actually be owned by a limited partnership by tax code and for the low-income housing tax credit compliance period for 15 years. And then after that, the development arm or the nonprofit will take ownership of it. But LMHA will continue to serve as the property manager.
So who's the developer that you're partnering with?
They're called TFG Housing Resources. They're out of Columbus, but it's the Finch Group, and he has done a lot of development in the Cleveland area, in Cuyahoga County.
So how do we know that they're going to be actually using local labor and local manufacturing? Do you have anything that triggers that in your contract so that we know they're not bringing in prefabs and bringing in things outside our county? I mean, how do you track?
Well, we can't, and this is federally funded, so we can't restrict. The one thing that is required by the funding sources are Section 3 requirements, which is, if you're not familiar with that, is to provide some, to the greatest extent possible, to provide labor to low-income folks, to give them an opportunity to advance themselves.
But there's nothing in there that triggers, that says you have to? There's nothing in there that says you have to use local?
Not for local. It's just a commitment that in a conversation we've had with the contractor. But we cannot, because there's federal dollars involved, we can't show discrimination or favoritism.
Okay. And again, this is not a bond in indebtedness of the county, this is of the project.
Yep.
But by our approving the mission of the Housing Authority in here allows you to get the tax exempt bonds, which helps you sell the bonds. So
Yes.
for those that are following this, we're not raising bonds, the debt of the general fund.
No, we are going to market, and all of the costs to issue the bonds will be a project cost. So it's no cost to the county.
No, I'm going to ask Karen this question. Since Lorain County is voting on this, don't we have any agreements in place that we use when we go out to bid in order to ensure certain expectations are met? Or can't we do that on federal projects?
No, you can't do that on federal projects. So since we're using federal money, we have to abide by the federal guidelines.
But I'm not hearing protections. I'm not hearing anything in regards to protecting it. They say local, they say low income, they say we're going to purchase the products in this county, but it doesn't say they have to.
And we can't, again, because
Okay.
there are
I just-
federal dollars involved. I just shared that with you as we are a community partner, and
Sorry, I'm Margie Callison, and I'm an attorney at Squire Patton Boggs, who is acting as bond counsel on this issue. And your approval is required under the tax code, but you're not issuing the bonds. You don't have any commitment under them or any authority over them because they are issued by LMHA. So that's your approval is strictly for tax code purposes. 'Cause
So you
the tax code
you
says-
don't need our approval then, I guess, right?
No, we need your approval to be able to issue.
Well, that's why I was hoping I'd hear that, because it sounds like.
We do.
Well,
We
I'm
do,
just
but
saying.
That's why you.
I understand. I know. I understand.
I mean, it's not your project.
You want the non-taxed You want the tax exempt revenue, right?
Right, and as a private activity bond, the tax code requires
Oh, I know.
that.
It's just,
Okay.
there's a benefit coming from this board, and I just
Yes,
wondered what kind of
yes.
benefit our county can get from it.
Okay.
We're getting improved low to moderate
that's what
income
it
housing.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
there is going to be economic impact, whether you.
I don't know, well, that's
agree
why,
with
that's
that or
kind of
not.
where I was getting to is, it
Can't
sounds
be
like we're,
quantified.
I know.
Cannot be
that-
quantified.
Correct, okay.
Because of the funding that's involved in the project.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Just for clarification, so there's a private public, and 37 million is under the federal, that's the contribution to 37 million. And the other money that's from the private is equaling about $70 million for it, for the project?
The total project costs are 69.
69 million. And at 69 million, it's only doing 175 units total, or is there other stuff in there?
There's acquisition costs in there, so the limited partner is actually buying the project.
Okay.
So at appraised value,
Yeah.
so.
And this is a rehab
this is a
project?
rehab.
Wow, but it seems like, I mean, prices have gone up a lot.
Indeed, they have.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes, yes.
thank you.
Thank you. And my understanding of the process, the commissioners have a representative on the LMHA board. And my understanding of the process is that this is taking this from fully owned and managed by the federal government through the LMHA. This is a private-public partnership, which goes to serve to reduce the bureaucracy as well as provide the funding for rehab and then future maintenance of the project, so.
I know, it's 396,000 a unit, it's pretty expensive for a
That's what
rental
my
unit.
point is.
I know, I'm like,
Build them all houses.
yeah, well, we're gonna work on that too, aren't we?
Yeah.
We do have some projects coming up, and this county is gonna be exciting here in about a month or two, so.
Is there
Okay.
anything further on this one?
Nope.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Thank you for coming in.
Number 11, reappoint Commissioner David J. Moore as member to NRAC Natural Resource Assistant Council, effective retroactive to September 22nd, 25 through September 21st of 28.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
911-12, disposing of 16 telex radio dispatch model ADHP radio consoles that are unneeded, obsolete, or unfit property in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 307.12D. Erie County EMA 911 Ohio PSAP will receive 7 for replacement of damaged consoles that were hit by lightning. And then Vermillion, Ohio Police Department will receive 2 to add on additional call-taking positions.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Community Development 13, adopt Lorain County Residential Anti-Displacement and Relocation Assistant Plan. This is a requirement under Section 104D of Housing and Community Development Act of 1974, since the county receives HUD funds. This requirement minimizes the displacement of persons as a result of activities assisted with such funds.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
14, award contract for Amy J. Kerr at 192 Brookfield Road, Avon Lake, to receive grant assistance for Program Year 23 CHIP program to Danderson and Company, Cuyahoga Falls, in the amount of $54,796.50, which includes a contingency for any unforeseen change orders. 3 bids were received, this being the most responsive, complying with specifications. Project includes chimney removal, replacing the home's roof, installing new gutters, downspouts, adding gutter guards, windows, exterior door, storm door, hot water heater, dryer, basement, handrail, new smoke detectors, and complete electrical rewire, and will be paid from the Program Year 23 CHIP home account.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Number 15, award contract for Anita D. Caldwell at 220 Erie View Boulevard, Sheffield Lake, to receive grant assistance from Program Year 23 CHIP and LSL programs to Danderson and Company, Cuyahoga Falls, in the amount of $91,003, which included contingency for any unforeseen change orders. 2 bids were received, this being the most responsive complying with specifications. This project includes replacing the home's roof, installing new gutters, downspouts, adding gutter guards, window, entry door, sliding patio door, storm doors, HUD cleaning, hot water heater, water supply lines, basement shower, basement vanity faucet, basement toilet, dishwasher, kitchen faucet, basement bathroom, vinyl flooring, natural gas range, and complete electrical rewire, and this will be paid from the program year 23 CHIP and LSO contracted services account.
Move to approve?
Second.
Discussion?
Would just like to make a note on this item as well as the other, that we did have 2 local bidders on the item that we just approved, number 14, and we have the second bidder on this one is a local. So we are reaching out, and our local people are getting an opportunity, to participate in their local projects.
Great progress.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Job and Family 16, Amendment Resolution 24-616, adopted October 8th of 24, authorizing Big Brothers Big Sisters Lorain County to provide mentoring and tutoring services to TANF-eligible children and teens. Amendment is to extend the contract for the period of October 1st of 25 through September 30th of 26 for a total contract amount not to exceed $350,000, and this will be paid from the TANF account.
Move to approve?
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
17, Amendment Resolution 24-617, adopted October 8th of 24, authorizing Horizon Educational Center to provide mentoring and tutoring services to TANF-eligible children and teens. Amendment is to extend the contract for a period of October 1st of 25 through September 30th of 26 for a total contract amount not to exceed $312,000 and will be paid from the TANF account.
Move to approve?
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, you'll notice the dates on this go from October 1st to September 30th. Unfortunately, maybe in a more perfect world someday, but our county government, our state government, and our federal government have different fiscal years. So it requires the contracts to match the funding source.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
18, Amendment Resolution 24559, adopted September 10th of 24, authorizing Neighborhood Alliance to provide shelter for adult protective services clients and or TANF household clients to eligible residents of Lorain County for emergency shelter services. Amendment is to extend the contract for the period of October 1st of 25 through September 30th of 26 for a total contract amount not to exceed $230,000, which $180,000 will be paid from the TANF account and $50,000 from the Title 20 account.
Move to approve?
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
19, Amendment Resolution 24619, adopted October 8th of 24, authorizing Harbor to provide work experience for SNAP E&T and OF recipients residing in Lorain County. Amendment is to extend the contract for the period of October 1st of 25 through September 30th of 26 for a total contract amount not to exceed $259,005 and will be paid from the SNAP and OWF funds account.
Move to,
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Gallagher?
aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Sanitary engineer 20, approve an increase of $643,045.15 for a revised funding total of $2,805,786.05 for additional project costs associated with State Route 82 Sewer Extension Phase 1 in Columbia Township. These increases are from change order numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 that are associated with additional pavement repairs and relocation of the sewer main into the edge of the existing pavement and will be paid from the sanitary project account.
So moved?
Second.
Discussion.
Yes. That's a lot of money for a change order, isn't it, Don?
That's Clyber.
We'll talk
It's
about
Clyber.
it. It is, Commissioner, what
Oh,
happened is,
sorry, Clyber.
when the project was originally built, it was to be built within the right-of-way outside the pavement along the power poles. Once we started the project, First Energy decided they would no longer would allow us to put it next to the poles. We were forced to move the sewer into the pavement. And as Commissioner Riddell knows now, you suddenly changed the scope of the project from putting the sewer in virgin materials versus now you have to dig under the pavement with premium backfill and pavement repairs associated with that. If the project had not already been a bid and awarded, we probably would have stepped back and rebid it, but we're under time constraints with the Del Webb project going across the street. So this was within the project scope and within the contract documents, we did a change order accordingly.
So whose fault was it? First Energy?
This First Energy,
Yeah, it's okay. I got the lawyer here kind of finding out
the
where I'm.
intent, like I said, originally they were gonna hold the power poles and we were gonna work right alongside the power pole. During the project, they refused to hold the poles because they felt now we were too close to the above electric lines. They knew that going in, but like I said, the project had been awarded and that's the way we were proceeding, so we had no choice but to move it away from them.
Wow.
And and I will tell you, the consensus is in the world, as Mr. Cliver stated, we don't put things underneath the pavement anymore that don't need to be under the pavement because of the construction, maintenance, and repair costs. We like to keep them off to the side of the pavement. So it's unfortunate that First Energy had the best vote.
Actually, like I said, in this project, we thought we were proactive. We met with them, we showed them what we were gonna do. There was an agreement. We actually even paid them up front to hold the poles, but then once construction started, they changed their mind.
Is there a possibility they'll change it back after one of us calls them?
The project is done now. Like I
It's
said,
done
we were,
now.
Oh, it's already done.
so we were working along with the Del Webb project across the street. They wanted to get their project open as soon as possible, so this sewer was their outfall for their northern section of the project.
And this isn't the first time, Commissioner, that we've had issues where, townships have approved developments, we've approved projects to provide sewers, and if there's a hiccup, the timetable comes because you can't build houses and give occupancy permits if there's no place to hook up to the sewer. So we had that same issue on Elyria Avenue, Lake Avenue earlier this year.
But this is just because of the overhead wires that they're worried about somebody hitting them while doing construction?
Yeah, they were worried about like I said, the scope of the project as a bid was the sewer would roughly be like 3 or 4 feet away from the power, from the power pole. Once the contractors started working, then they were suddenly afraid of the boom of the excavators going up high enough that they'd be too close to the electrical lines.
Well, I'm sure the excavators have done this before, close to electrical lines. They're well-trained in it.
There was a huge discussion, but at the end of the day, First Energy refused to hold the poles.
Gotcha.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Dow.
Aye.
Under the Sheriff, 21, authorized purchase of body armor for Lorain County Sheriff's Office in the amount of $48,031 from Protect Sales Berea. Sheriff's Office has applied for and awarded $40,000 in grant funding from the Ohio Attorney General's Office. Said purchase will be paid from the equipment account, and once grant funds are received, will be reimbursed for associated cost.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion.
Yes, unfortunately, this is one of those items, we've dealt with this before with the sheriffs and some of the other departments, but believe it or not, there is a 5-year guarantee warranty for bulletproof vests. And I don't understand what goes, how you deteriorate a steel or carbide plate, but it happens. And so we have to deal with this. We dealt with this a couple years ago in the budget. And unfortunately, every vest has to be replaced every 5 years in order to maintain manufacturer's warranty.
Yeah, but the best part is the sheriff's got a $40,000 grant, so,
Yes.
I do like what we're seeing out of the sheriff's office, so. But I'm sure it's lawyers that make us do that, right?
Always.
Okay, just thought I'd throw that in there for you.
Anything further?
No.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Aye.
Commissioner Dow.
Aye.
Do we want to do the presentation?
Yes, I think we'll interrupt our,
County administrator report, and
Yeah.
interrupt that, right?
yes, we'll save that for last, but in deference to the folks who came here and were 15 minutes late, we apologize. But we'd now like to have the presentation on our healthcare financials for the coming year.
I guess it's called the,
Steve's gonna lead?
yeah, the 2026 forecast, I guess is the appropriate.
Yes.
Oh, that's okay. You're gonna be playing that on the screen, right? Okay, then.
Is there a presentation or?
It's uploaded.
There it is.
Is it this one or?
Well, thank you, commissioners, for having me present our healthcare forecast for 2026. Being a lifetime resident of Lorain County, this is always a special project to me each year. So, how do I? Just tell them to advance it. Go ahead and advance it. Thank you. Magic. All right. So this is a process that we go through every year. The goal is to set a budget for the healthcare fund for medical, drug, and dental and vision expenses for the upcoming annual year. In this case, it's 2026. To do so, we look at historic claims data from the county's own claims experience over the last 2 years, which I'll step through. So there is no insurance company calculating the premiums. This is based on being self-funded. I am an actuary. I should have introduced myself. I'm Steve Parsons, a healthcare actuary with Chelco Consulting Group. The first slide here gives us a history of the premiums. So the premiums are the rates, monthly and annual rates that are charged by employee to fund the program. In the 2020 through 2023, the rates were the same for all 4 of those years, and the employees in 2023, based on the 15% cost share, would have paid $1,700 and $4,400 for their cost share. The actuary, me at the time, did recommend 7.9%, and the commissioners chose to not increase at that time. In 2024, the premiums were $12,700 annually for single and $32,000 for family. The employee's share of that, which is the 15%, is the $1,900 and the $4,800. That year, I was recommending a 17.5% increase in fall of 2023. The commissioners chose to see if the experience was an anomaly or not. And I have clients do that quite often, and they chose to do 7.9%. The 2025 calculations, before we made the change in the PBM, the prescription drug manager, would have been above 15%, if I recall correctly, but that particular change was fairly significant, and I believe the rate change was roughly 8%, with the premiums as stated at $13,872 and $34,800, and then the employee cost share there as well. This year, we are, based on our calculations, we are recommending that the commissioners consider increasing the premiums 13% from 2025 to 2026. In a couple slides, I'll walk through it. That represents not only a break even. The break even was 10.1%, but given we have a funding policy that the commissioners adopted in fall of 2024, we've tripped the requirement to build into our premiums for next year to additional monies to rebuild our reserves. Again, the next couple of slides will walk us through it. So 10.1% is break even, 13% is to begin rebuilding our reserves over a 5-year period, so we're not trying to recapture it in any one given year. The total projected budget is $53,385,000. Next slide, please. Okay, that'd be helpful to give you some benchmarking in perspective. Our county healthcare cost is higher than the benchmarks. And that's just the nature of the type of claims that come through. You're currently self-insured with Medical Mutual. And the premiums for 2026, if you increase them to 13%, would be 15,276, and this is where we had the typo. In my first deck, I had 33,036. It should be $38,328. I had carried it up from the CERB, the next line. The CERB benchmark, which is is conducted every year, was released within the last month or so. I did pull county benchmarking for our size county, and their average premium is $13,000 and $33,000 annually. I did go on the Cuyahoga County website to find their premiums for their PPO plan. Then they had a few other plan design options, and their premiums are there for 2025 at $13,260 and $34,500, slightly above the CERB benchmark. I do also work with Wood County. They have implemented a number of best practices and have actively managed their eligibility and prescription drug costs. And you can see their costs are $9,800 for single and $26,500 for family. The next one is the County Employees Benefit Consortium of Ohio, SEPCO. There are, I believe, 48 counties in SEPCO. They've released their budget for 2026. The average increase is 9.9% with a range of 7.9 to 17.9%. The SEPCO, and when I strip out, just because I had their underwriting that they shared, when you just strip out and look at medical and drug claims, no fixed costs, then per employee per year is $17,796, and that compares to Lorain County's 1 month difference in the period at $24,800. So, our county's healthcare cost is higher. Okay, next slide, please. All right, this is simply a history of the healthcare claims for the county over the last 10 years. So this would be, in this particular exhibit, would be medical, prescription drug, and dental claims. And then the average head count enrollment for each of those periods of times. If you do the math, the first year is roughly $16,500 per employee per year. The most recent period ending July of 31st, 2025 is $27,250. If you just looked at the last 3 years, we are averaging 9% trend for those years. Would I say that, that's an anomaly? No. I believe the county had higher trend earlier, but I'm seeing some significant trends in the marketplace over the last 18 to 24 months. There just seems to be an increased number of high-cost claimants. Okay. And I also think we're starting to experience some lagging inflation as the carriers like Medical Mutual are now renegotiating with the hospitals for higher reimbursement. Or the hospitals are renegotiating to get higher reimbursement from the carriers. Excuse me, I had that reversed. They are locked into 3-year contracts typically. So as they were impacted by increased costs and higher wages, that's why I describe it as lagging inflation. I think it's catching up now. The next slide, please. All right. This gives us a history of the reserves. So the county maintains reserves to pay for claims that may spike in any given year. Also, Ohio Revised Code 9.833 requires a minimum reserve we call the incurred but not reported claims. The funding and reserve policy set by the commissioners in 2024 states that the county will maintain reserves of 30% of projected cost based on a 5-year model, and I'll explain that and why. Other counties like Wood County, they've set theirs at 50%. They're a smaller county, have a little more volatility versus Lorain County and our size. The funding policy and reserve policy basically says we're gonna have a target of 30%. We know we're not gonna be perfect in any given year, so there's 5% cushions both ways. So if it goes over 5% and it, now we build up reserves over 35%, then we'd have a mechanism to draw those reserves down by having a funding holiday for both the county and the employees. On the flip side, if based on the 5-year forecast, you fall below 25%, then the commissioners can choose to add to the premiums an amount to build up the reserves over the next 5 years, and that is what I'm recommending with the 13%, to start to rebuild our reserves. On this exhibit, you can see the reserves have dropped from 20,855,000 to forecasted for 2025, the end of 2025, to be roughly 12.5 million. When you compare that to our target of 30% at the end of this year, we would be 2.8 million below our target, and in 5 years, we would be 7.7 million below our target. That's the reason we are recommending the 13%.
But that's if we don't do anything, correct?
No, that's,
Or are we looking at targeting at this negative if we,
so this is with the 13%. Yes.
Okay.
It is, if we don't do anything.
okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Moore. Okay, next slide, please. All right, just a brief summary of the actual assumptions used in these calculations. We're assuming medical inflation of 6.25%, prescription drug at 9%, and dental at 2%. We are using the last 2 years of claims experience after the stop-loss reimbursement. So we did have some high-cost claimants over our $500,000 specific stop-loss attachment point. Just an example, if we had a $700,000 claim, we took $200,000 out of the gross claims because the insurance carrier was reinsurer paid that. We do have a $500,000 specific stop-loss, and we do assume those fees will increase 20% from 2025 to 2026. And just a summary of the head count that we're using for our budget, 714 single participants and 1,073 families for a total of 1,787. We're assuming no change in the vision premiums, which has been pretty consistent over the last several years. When we add the claims and the vision premiums, our budget for that would be $51,783,000. Where it says rebates there, it should read prescription drug rebates. So the manufacturers provide rebates through the PBM that are passed along to the county. So we are factoring that into our net cost. Our fixed fees are $3.3 million for a total program cost of $52,037,000. Our current premiums with the same head count is $47,246,000. That's just to break even, it's 10.1%. The recommended of 13% to rebuild the reserves is $53,385,000.
So, question, prescriptions are up 9%. Is that included, is that the average included after the rebates or before the rebates?
After rebates. Yeah.
So prescriptions costs have been driven up pretty high.
Yes. Yeah. What's driving that is we have high cost prescriptions, and we have a pipeline of them coming. Prescription, even the GLP-1s that you see on the commercials, I call them my tiny but mighty claims. They're only $12,000 a year. With rebates, they $9,000. But if you put, 100 people on there, it multiplies quickly. The county does not cover it for weight loss, but they are available because they do help with diabetes. That's just one example. But there's like a drug Stellara is about $120,000 a year. So we just have a increasing number of higher cost prescription drugs.
Thank you.
So you have a projection here to rebuild the reserves over 5 years, 13%. But we really don't know, do we, on the next 5 years, what our increases will or will not be?
Right.
So how are you calculating to rebuild reserves, are you going to make the assumption that maybe an additional 3% no matter what we come up with on an annual basis? Is that what you're projecting?
So it will be compounded off of this number. So it wouldn't be, knock on wood, it would be off the premiums that we set
Yeah.
with the 13%. So we should be back to, the 8%
Annual.
annual. If
Okay.
we continue to have high cost claims and we draw down the reserves, we would recommend
Okay.
another increase above break even. But I do have a 5-year model, so I take 2026 and each year I project the increase using those assumptions to get to 2030. We know 1 year is not perfect. We can have a 5 to 10% swing either way. 5 years certainly is not going to be perfect, but it gives the commissioners a tool to at least plan financially to make sure that we are maintaining reserves.
And without this would be a good place to say that without the increase to the fund, when we say 30%, it's 30% of the expected payments out of the plan.
Yes.
And so if those go up next year, then the reserve has to go up. So we're not maintaining a reserve at a static number. The reserve has to rise in order to stay 30% of what we expect to spend. Our problem is figuring out how to spend a little less.
Right. Yeah. Actually built this policy for the school consortium in Lorain County about 10 years ago, and it's worked. They had a high cost claimant. Prescription drug was $1.4 million, and the risk and reserve policy worked. So I'm pretty confident of it as long as we adhere to it.
And thank you for your support. We recently changed the prescription vendor, and, a significant amount of that $3 million in rebates wasn't coming back to us under the previous, but now the rebates come through the provider back to us for the drugs that we buy. So that was a good move, and we appreciate that.
Okay, next slide. Okay, this slide recaps some of what we've talked about. Over the next, 5 years, total costs are projected to increase 16.6 million. That's in the 5-year model, which is for each employee, it's for $9,289 per employee per year to commit, to the point that, this is a good visual to see why we may want to consider some of the items below. There have not been any plan design changes or eligibility changes over the last 10 years. Some of the items that other clients have considered, including the counties I've referred to, ongoing, due diligence of requests for proposals. You just did that for prescription drug, which was very meaningful. I don't think you'll find anything, no silver bullets on doing a RFP for medical carrier, because the carrier's contracts with the hospitals are fairly consistent. So I always say in this region specifically, it's probably plus or minus 2%. So it's not like we saw with the PBM last year where it could be significant. We would encourage ongoing discussions about prescription drug strategies with the move to TrueScripts last year for effective in February of 2025. Now we have a PBM in place that we can start exploring other strategies that could also produce savings. I would encourage the commissioners to also consider, just modeling the medical and drug strategies, plan designs, and other opportunities. Not that I'm not saying you have to make changes, but to the extent that we're seeing these trend increases, if the county was, were to ask, well, how do we get the 13% down to 8%? These are some of the levers that would be considered. And then on the last one there is the working spouse rule, which Wood County has, which is, what, one of their strategies. We're seeing an increasing trend in employers putting that rule in place.
Can you explain that a little bit more, what that means?
Yes. What it means, there's different variations of working spouse rules, but it basically says if you have a spouse that is working and has the ability to get healthcare coverage to their employer, then they're required to have that take their employer's healthcare coverage.
In the averages across the state, we're in the spousal support on it. What is the difference in premium roughly, if you were just to guess,
Yeah.
from that versus our current policy versus without it?
Yeah, I've seen 4 to 6%.
4 to 6%?
Yeah.
I was at an event yesterday and they were talking, a lot of them were they're doing 90/10s. We're doing 85/15s, and they're just trying to get it up another 2% and they're having an extreme hard time, so.
I'm sorry.
They're having a hard time with that. Are you seeing movement on more employee participation? Is that what you guys are starting to see statewide, or?
Yeah, the 15% became the norm when
Yeah.
we had Senate Bill 5. When was that? 10
yeah.
years ago. And so that's where I typically see people, but I participated in arbitration case in Columbus, and they're going, all new hires are at 20%, and the negotiations were increasing that from 15%, over a 3-year contract, 1% each year. So there is a trend.
So do you see that trend going to 20?
I do.
Okay. So the fact that we're still only we're covering 85% is a pretty good thing.
It is. Yep. I've seen, there'll be others that are lower, but the norm right now is the 15% moving to the 20%. But I would expect over the next 5 years that we'll see 20% as the average.
I got one more question on the spouse rule. In the event that it was eliminated with us, is there an option for do they allow this in the medical world, so to say, or the healthcare world? Or is there an option for the employee to participate by paying the difference for that plan?
Yeah, so that's one of the variations, So is your question, can the spouse stay on your plan but
And
pay the
as long as they
difference?
pay the premium.
Yeah, that's one of the options that, the commissioners could explore as a working spouse rule. Another option would be, if the cost of the spouse's insurance is, over a specific amount, then the employee could, participant or the spouse could come back on the plan. So you could say, you can say that the spouse is required to take their benefit, but if it's, costs are, over a dollar amount, whatever you would set, over to, $300, that, that could be an option to come back.
So basically, you would come to us eventually and say, okay, here's all your options, okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next slide. Okay. So restating, the items we've talked about, doing nothing would be a shortfall. We're currently at a $2.8 million shortfall for the current year. Doing nothing, we would be at $7.7 million. The nothing is the difference between 10.1% and then 13%. So it's our recommendation that the commissions consider a minimum of 13% increase effective 1/1 of 26, and that's a typo there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions?
Nope. Nope, I think we did it while you were talking, so.
All right.
And are we,
And I think, well, if we could at this juncture, we have a presentation. We're not going to be approving, we're putting this out for the original presentation, but a couple of things that I'd like to comment on before you leave the podium so that you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
But-
want to have them go to page 4? Because I was looking at the same thing.
Oh,
That's
okay.
page 4.
Page 4,
Victor? There. I could tell that.
there you
We're
go.
both looking at it, so.
And the, and that is that even though we within a few, we started out in 2015 with 1,795 employees, we're at 1,793. So our plan is not from an increase in employees, it's an increase in expenses of the healthcare. And what we need to be concerned about, all of us as employees and people on the plan, is that we are self-funded. This isn't, we need to get a better rate out of the insurance company, we need to, beat somebody up and get a discount kind of thing. Whatever the claims are for our employees, this fund pays those claims. And once they go over 500,000, we have insurance to pick up the catastrophic portion of it. But at the end of the day, the only way to bring down the premiums that we're paying is to reduce the expenses somehow, and with inflation and stuff that's out of our control. But what we pay for and how we shop and how we spend the money will make the difference. And if we don't find a way to limit expenses, there'll be no limit to what we have to pay, because then we're either gonna pay through the premium or we're gonna pay through the expenses, but we're going to pay. And I use the thing, I did it myself. I needed a series of tests for and my doctor's at one of the national hospitals here in Lorain County. And I was told to go get some blood work and stuff done, some tests done. And those tests were $900 at that institution, but over at LabCorp, they were $380. So we need to look at this as our insurance, and if we want to control the cost of either the premium or the expenses, we've got to become prudent, customers. We wouldn't go to the store and buy the same can of beans for $3 if we could go to a different store and buy them for $1.50. And we've got to start spending money through the claims history the same way. The other thing, when I was new here on the board, is we had gone through 3 years with no increase, and our reserve still misses some of that money. So we're playing catch up because there were no increases, and we didn't increase the reserve either. So we spent the reserve down, and there was a prediction by some of the staff that that COVID had this backlog of claims because you couldn't go to the hospital because of all the COVID rules, and that after a few years or a year or so, our claims would go down. But as we see from the history, it's going up, and it's at some point it's going to consume a huge chunk of the general fund if we don't do something about it, and the increases will begin to outweigh increases in compensation. So we're going to need to wrestle this bear, and I think that what I'm saying is that we'll spend 2026 looking at some alternatives to do that. We're gonna keep doing this for 2026 the way we've been doing it, but with the recognition that before we get into 2027, we have to do something to change what we're doing. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep doing the same thing.
So it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, it's about a 39% increase over the 10 years in premiums.
Yes.
But that's not an increase in employees.
No, I know, it's almost identical.
So,
Yeah.
Well, again, it all depends. I mean, if you take a look at 19 through 22, 23, there wasn't that much increases in expenses, correct? Or claims. So you almost got, now that we, you know, I don't know if we're all getting older or I think hospitalization or I think costs are just going through the roof personally. And
They are.
like Commissioner Riddell said, I had some other things. I did the same thing. You know, it was to get just a X-ray on my knee. You know, it was like, well, it's going to take you this long. So you know, it's going to cost the insurance company. It would have cost me like, or it would have been like $2,500, and or I can go elsewhere for $380. And so, you know, I remember this debate 15 years ago. People were talking, you could shop to get, you know, your work done. But unfortunately, everyone goes to one doctor, one hospital, and then what I've seen lately, because I'm, you know, I got a brand new knee, thank you, but they steer you to go certain directions at these hospitals, and the next thing you know, I'm going to another place for rehab, and they're like, why'd you go there? Because I'm like, well, maybe because I was all drugged up and they told me to go there, you know? And I could have gone somewhere else, and I ended up having to pay out of my pocket to go out somewhere else because I wasn't getting the service I wanted. You know, and I think today, and I mean, I grew up that way, which is we went to the doctor in the hospitals, but now we got to look at it as a product. You know, can we get a better deal elsewhere? And if everybody had that same mentality, I think we could keep our costs down. But it's very hard. You know, it's hard to shop and it's this kind of stuff. You know, I get it. So
Hey, I learned a lesson. I had an MRI done at one time, and there was a facilities charge at one hospital versus a independent MRI place, and it was a difference of about $1,200. That was that hit my insurance. So I did learn, and as a business owner, I watch those things.
yeah, multiply that by 1,793, it adds up.
So we made two changes a little while back. One was to change the payment structure for the emergency room to drive people to the urgent care. And we did that for the same reason, because emergency rooms are very expensive. And if you go to the emergency room for the flu, you're going to an expensive facility you don't need. You can go to the urgent care with a lower cost structure and a lower fee that they would charge our plan. The other thing that we did is we went to preventive health care at 100%, no co-pays. So the plan pays for preventive care if the employee will do that. Do we have any idea yet whether that has produced dividends for us? I know it hasn't been that long.
Yeah, it's still early to see the impact of that, but you know, your ER example, you know, average cost of an ER visit's $1,200 versus $120 for your primary care or urgent care, you know, $150.
Right.
Yeah, but we've made some adjustments in regards to the ambulance drivers and you know, that was like, I didn't want to say the price it was that it cost somebody to go. So I think we've seen a reduction in that kind of use, correct? I thought $25 was pretty cheap.
You guys had about 7. I'm Brad Kogan with Minutemen,
Yeah.
consultant for the health plan as well.
We can hear 'em.
You guys had about $600,000 in what they call non-emergency use of the ER before we made that change. It was a little under $600,000, and we pulled it since the change, and it's almost an irrelevant number.
Okay.
The non-emergency use, it's almost like not even existent. So that did work, and there wasn't really any kind of, no one's had any issues as far as, I mean, if you have a heart problem, you go to the ER. So yes, that has made a difference. The wellness thing or the preventative, I mean, that's like a 5-year deal sometimes on seeing, you know, where it goes. And you said it earlier, Commissioner Moore, counties get older, people stay at the jobs, you have less turnover of governments than other businesses, and you kind of, you know, age together, and as you age, the car starts to break, as they say, so.
So the message is, though, for all the people in the county, employees, shop around a little bit if you can for the non-specific medical care, and versus, you know, just taking what is suggested.
It's hard, and the other thing you guys touched on that I think is an important point is that of the, you know, predicted 50, if you go to slide 6, of the predicted needing the 52 million or the 53 million, the most important thing from my perspective on here is that the fixed fees is what it's cost to run your program, the administration, for the PBM, for Medical Mutual to adjudicate the claims. And you can see that that's $3.3 million. The rest is all your claims outside of that. So of the 50 million of it is paying medical and RX and dental claims. So it's, everybody wants to save costs and go to market, and we did that last year on the fixed fees, but it's really the claims cost for a group of your size that costs all the money.
And I would say that's best practice. Your fixed fees are, roughly 7%. Best practice is to get 10% or lower. Smaller groups would be probably more in the 10 to 15%.
Out of curiosity, what are we paying in prescription cost annually? What is the gross figure? Do you have that handy? Or close?
Yeah, I have it. Roughly $11 million.
So unfortunately, we have to find a way to wrestle this because sitting for the three of us up here, we have two constituencies. We have our staff and our employees, and we have the taxpayers. And they share this bill, and we need to serve both of them by finding a way to get it under control. The medical care cost is going up 6% a year by your estimate, but our plan cost is going up 9.5 or 10%, not even counting the percentage to go into the reserve. And if we can find a way to save expenses on the plan, it will come back also and allow us to save on the expense of feeding the reserve. So we get to save twice if we can find a way to do it. And the usage is us, and we're exceeding the inflation rate. This isn't all because the inflation rate is 10% or 13%. The inflation rate is 6 point some percent. We're exceeding that inflation rate, and that's our usage of the plan. So we need to find a way to encourage more healthy, preventive care and so forth, and reduce the dependence on what, I don't know what the term is in the industry, but catastrophic care when you got an emergency and you got to go, okay? And if we can find a way to reduce on that, we get the benefits. The employees get 15% of that savings and maybe more in the days to come. And the taxpayers get 85% of those savings. And as a matter of fact, my son interviewed for a job about 3 weeks ago in a statewide company that has about 1,700 employees, and his healthcare percentage was 50-50.
Yeah.
So, and we got to remember that the private sector is the ones that pay us. So we do have to keep an eye to the private sector because we can't get too rich compared, because they're paying the bill. But thank you for the presentation, and we'll continue to do this. Our timetable is, or should I wait for the administrator's report?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks
Steve,
very much.
We're gonna let you get off the hot seat.
'Cause county administrator, I guess, since I'll say it.
Well, you asked for a schedule as
Yes.
far as what our next steps would be. So, of course, we are gearing up for our open enrollment, which HR hopes to have done in October. So before we can complete or start open enrollment, we do need to set the premium for 2026. So given the board's schedule, meeting schedule, we do have a meeting on Friday, and then we would have a 2-week, a 1 week actually, waiting period. So I mean, I guess I would take the advice of the board as to as far as when you would like to see this item on the agenda for action.
Well, last time we waited way too late, and that's what, look at their heads are bobbing like, yeah. I know, I think the recommendation of you two would probably be yesterday, right?
Probably, yeah, but this is an important decision. I mean, there's a lot of people that are going to be affected by what the board does, and I certainly don't want to rush that decision either.
But you had a meeting today?
Yes, we certainly did. We had an opportunity to meet with some of the union representatives and payroll clerks and such. We provided them the same slide deck. Steve was kind enough to run through it with them. And he performed a near miracle because he left Avon Lake at, what was it, 3 o'clock?
3:05.
Yeah, 3:05.
I didn't speak.
In order to get here on time to give the presentation here to the board. Those folks, too, asked for a little bit of time to review the information that we provided. So our next steps, Elise and I, will be to provide them with the slide deck with the corrections, along with the cost, the monthly cost for the increase for the employee, annual cost, and a per pay cost.
Well, my concern is, I feel like if we do it this is my opinion out of three of us. I think this Friday might be too quick, because you just had a meeting today with some of the union heads.
Correct.
And some of the other individuals. I think if we wait till October 7th, we're going to be discussing the homestead exemption on that meeting. I think we're scheduled for that date. So I'm just letting the board know those are the two dates. I mean, what's the preference other than yesterday?
Oh, October, Elise just whispered in my ear that October 7th would be fine.
No, I think that would not be an appropriate day.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because
What are you thinking about, the 10th?
maybe that following
The
Friday.
issue is we want to start, we don't have to finish, but we can start open enrollment in October instead of December like we did last year.
Right.
So, given that we're starting 60 days early, we could give everybody about 10 days into October to get comfortable for this, and then we could still start open enrollment in October. It would be mid-October by the time you got the paperwork and so forth. Would that be all right?
Yes.
So let me ask you this, are you looking, I mean, we do have to vote as a board on whether or not to accept what we heard today? Is that what you're looking for first?
Yes,
Okay,
before October 15th, if possible.
well, so is October
October
10th
10th.
sufficient amount of time?
Yes.
And my concern is that what happened 2 years ago was when there wasn't enough communication. And that's why that's what I'm trying to avoid this year, which is we're giving everybody ample time. And I'd like to let everybody at least get some input and hear what everybody has to say. I don't see any other alternative but to move forward myself in supporting what we heard today. But I think we need to start educating everybody to what they heard and get this program out to everybody so that you two can at least educate the employees and their leadership on what's coming. What's
Okay.
that sound about?
That's about right. And the open enrollment period is just to allow our employees the opportunity to decide if they want to stay on the county insurance or go elsewhere, like through a spouse or whatever. And they need to know the numbers that we have to approve so that they can make that economic decision for their family. Did I say that well,
You did,
Ms. Averill? Okay.
did.
Not an easy solution.
No, and before we move towards the end of the meeting, I do want to be the one to remind us all that, we don't have much choice, given that we're 90 days to the end of the year. But we've seen the trend, and some of those things that we had hoped for did not happen. So we can't keep wishing that someday they'll happen. We're gonna have to deal with this, and I, for one, still planning on being here next year. I think that we need to, we're gonna continue what we've been doing and minimize the interruption, but as we go forward between now and October of '26, we need to have serious consideration of alternatives to put this thing under control so that we can do that. And I think it's the old, pay me now or pay me later. if we don't do something about it, it's gonna continue to get worse. And I think that, we have good staff, at HR and good administration. We have good consultant. We have a great homegrown actuarial that can tell us, estimate for us what we're doing. But even this past year, when we took the increase of 7.9%, and, you know, we overspent that bogey. And so for the 3 years that I've been here, we have spent money out of the reserves to ease the pain of the premiums. And we're at a point where now we can't do that. So all the pain is gonna be in the premiums, and you just gotta work it backwards, and we've gotta decide how much health care we can afford. So I look forward to not having those conversations in August of '26. I hope that we'll start having those conversations with employees and actuarial and the participants, and come up with a plan and spend 8, 9, 10 months coming up with that plan, and not doing a 30-day dash at the end of next year. So that's my request.
I made a note of that.
Okay,
One more thing for my report.
yes.
I did have an opportunity to go to see the dog kennel. So we haven't spoken much about the dog kennel lately, but if you recall, we are in the middle of a renovation addition project out there, and they're probably 2 to 3 weeks from being complete. So it was a good visit. The kennel is full, so anybody that needs to adopt a dog, you can go on out to 301 Hadaway Street. They are excited about their addition. They can see how this is going to help the dogs. It's going to help with adoptions. It's going to help the employees be safer. So it was definitely a good visit, and hopefully we'll be doing a ribbon cutting soon. Maybe have a little shindig out there for the pups. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Teresa?
Next Tuesday, September 30th at 4:30, we'll have a commissioners meeting regards to the Mason Lateral 1 main ditch hearing.
You got any, what's the over-under and how long you think? She always,
About 30 minutes.
you think
at
there,
the
I'm writing it
most.
down.
At the
'cause,
most.
I said 15 and you said an hour and a half, and you were right last time, so. We also have a meeting, or aren't we, isn't CCOA coming in to talk to us that same day?
Yes.
Is that, we have
Oh,
enough
I'm
time?
with you. Wait a minute.
No, not for you guys. They're coming in to talk to us about some programs.
Well, also that day at 9:30 is our investment advisory.
Oh, yeah.
So I forgot to put that on
Yeah,
the agenda.
public,
but
yeah, that's gonna be some,
Yes, I
that'll be a-
forgot.
that's
We've
gonna
got
be,
9:30.
CCAOs coming in, so
Yeah.
we'll have to, Karen, while we're doing the ditch hearing, we may need you to shepherd the CCAO group. Okay, thank you.
okay, just wanna remind everybody of that, so.
Okay,
Move to waive the reading of the Board of Correspondence.
second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher,
Aye.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Riddell,
Aye.
Commissioner
Did that out of
Gallagher.
order. I hesitated.
I know you
I've been
did.
on my game today.
You have been. And I'm like, why is he hesitating? Oh, yeah, I wrote the wrong one. No, I said the wrong one. New business?
Oh,
No. Public comment?
public comment, we have two folks that would like to speak. I think, I'm sure Mr. Zimmerman is used to being in alphabetical order, so we'll go with Mr. Zimmerman first. He probably doesn't get that opportunity.
Taught my kids a long time ago, you gotta be left.
Mm-hmm.
When it counts.
Well, sometimes they say it's the best.
Yeah, last, good finishes last.
Good afternoon, William Zimmerman, Avon Lake. So I'm here to talk about the 6119 Clearwater project. As I indicated before, we saw a presentation in Avon Lake, and the gentleman said that this was a necessity. I again will state, it is not. I don't believe for a second that it's a necessity. I've done some research. I've spoken to Bill Logan, who is the Avon Lake Regional Water Financial Officer, and we talk about Lorco. And years ago, 20 years ago, when they put together the pump station down in southern Lorain County, they inherited an $8 million debt that Avon Lake Regional Water now has inherited. And that debt has continued to rise because Lorco has not paid it down. It's almost $14 million now. And I believe that all of this is about a bailout for Lorco. It would be a way for them to be able to write it off so that they won't be expected to pay it. Bill and I talked about a fashionable way in which more customers would be using the service in Eaton Estates and places like that in southern Lorain County. But the problem becomes is nobody's catching up on the money that's accruing now. And so as it continues to rise, there's no way that they're going to be able to do that. I don't believe that they will ever do that. And I don't think it's fair that those of us, especially in the city of Avon Lake, who've paid into the services for so long, would be required now to give up its property in Avon Lake Regional Water. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gerald Phillips?
Brian, you have to teach him to get up there quicker like you do.
Gerald Phillips, beautiful city of Avon Lake. Clearwater. I looked at the CAFRA for 2023, and I saw this 11-point-something million dollar intercompany receivable. And that's when I made a public records request in the city of Avon Lake, and they gave me back some generic answer that didn't answer my question. And then we ultimately found that that was the Lorco debt, which Mr. Zimmerman talked about. So, at least for the 20 years I've been in Avon Lake as a resident, I subsidized that debt. So, to give them a bailout, totally unacceptable from my point of view as a resident. Also, there was this purchase price in the proposal of $74 million for assets that are $100 million. Now, anybody who knows the rule of 72, at 7%, your money will double in 10 years. So in 10 years, it'll double. In 20 years, it'll be 4 times. So if you divide 74 million by 4, you know, the present value of a $74 million potential purchase sometime during the lease at 20 years, when the lease is 30, is $18.5 million for a $100 million asset. Bad deal. Bad deal. Now, I made a public records request to the commissioners, and it's still unfulfilled. You know, every request in this county has to go through your county prosecutor, and it takes time. You know, not every request has to be reviewed by legal, because a lot of times the document doesn't have anything that needs to be redacted. So just to remind this board, you know, 149.43 says public records requests must be promptly complied with. Now, if you want to see a program, Mr. Zimmerman and I have put a 2-part program on the Avon Lake TV situation, where we critique the so-called Clearwater project. So it's available for the public. The commissioners can go on there and look at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen, I think that once we get our resident expert back, we should advise him of the commentary, although much of it revolves around Avon Lake, but I think there's some clarification on the 6119 that I think will help people wrestle with these issues. Very good. Because the reality is that we get paid to look in advance, and while Clearwater is not an emergency today, it won't be long, and it will be an emergency for virtually 80% of the communities in Lorain County, and we're
Right.
trying to avoid that emergency. So I think Jeff needs to address that so that people will understand we're trying to look ahead and avoid the problem when you flush the toilet and nothing happens.
It's got to go somewhere.
That's right. Thank you. With that, we will adjourn for today. See you Friday.
Thanks for coming in, everybody.